This is the weekly PM research UX sync for testing for June 24th. Forget what meeting I'm in some days. I think I have the first agenda item. I wanted to start talking through viability maturity for code quality, which, as I'm thinking about it and where our focus is at for the testing group, it's all on the code testing and coverage, not on code quality, but we have a dog fooding item for that. And as we think about going from minimal to viable, like the key call out there is that it's used by the majority of internal users at GitLab. And so seeing what the kind of clear criteria are for us to actually get to viable, I think is all laid out in that dog fooding issue. And I created an epic yesterday for it. But I wanted to talk through what are next steps, both in validating the solutions, and then what does the scorecard experience look like? Because it'll be something that we want to mirror pretty soon for the code testing and coverage, and understand where there's still gaps in our dog fooding approach to that, because it's sitting at minimal, and I think that we can move it to viable with not too much effort as well. So I'm going to hand it over to Lorie to hopefully answer that question.
Well, I was trying to find that page, but can't get to it. So where is it? Juan, do you have the category maturity scorecard page bookmarked? Because I don't. Maybe it's right here. Got it. Okay. Found it. Put it in the chat. All right, so this is the category maturity scorecard page. It has been updated with the new process, which very much relies on jobs to be done. So I don't know if we have our jobs to be done defined for code quality yet. Forgive me.
We're getting there.
I don't know. Okay, so we have to start there. And so then the next step after we get those defined is to break them down into user stories and then into tasks. And really, when you get somebody to go through the scorecard, you're really getting them to perform tasks that go back up to the jobs to be done and not grade them, but gather metrics around their experience with those tasks as it relates to the jobs to be done. So from moving from minimal to viable, though, we don't have to go through this process. It's not required. You can if you want. It's always a good idea to get those jobs to be done, finalized and done, but they don't have to be done before you go to viable. This is really meant to move from viable to either complete or lovable, depending on where you're going. So because of that, minimal to viable is very much what you said earlier, James, like dog fooding. Like we have to use it internally. We need to use that time to make sure that it's usable and people can achieve the tasks that we set out for them to achieve by using the feature set of it. And we do that mainly through our dog food process here.
Cool.
So there's that. But like I said, jobs to be done is always nice to have in our pocket because we will need them when we move from viable to either complete or from complete to lovable.
Just want to make sure I capture all of that.
Yeah. And when we do go through this process, we'll be looking at things like how long does it take them? What's their perception? Do they feel like that feature set met their requirements? Do they feel like it's easy to use? Things like that. So success, failure. So just keep that in mind that that's what this process is. We can always run somebody through it. You don't have to though. So it's up to you.
That is good to know. So yeah, I think then for code quality, we would stick with, once we've wrapped up the epic that I've called out here, that is a maturity plan, and that addresses issues that are in the dog fooding issue for code quality, that we'd be able to move that category up to viable, which is good. I think then as far as code testing and coverage goes, Juan, the next step would be to create a dog fooding issue, and specifically around, I think, our JUnit report, which I think that I already identified some gaps there as well. And we'll plug those into the dog fooding issue, or call out that they're related issues, build an epic around it, moving to maturity, or making it a dog fooding epic, but it will serve the same purpose. as this is the thing that we need to, or the problems that we need to solve, so that we can successfully dog food this internally and it is a viable product. Cool. Awesome. That answers my questions around that. So that's super exciting. I think that's all I have on the research front. Juan, how about you?
No, I had a question about when do you want, like, what's the milestone that you have been thinking for this?
For the code quality stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, like 13, 7, 8, 9. Like it's a ways out.
Oh, okay.
I was doing direction updates yesterday and realized, oh, I should go look at the dog fooding issues too, with the dog fooding board. Oh, and then started thinking about maturity. Oh, well, very clearly, we have to have this feature used by the majority of internal users, and we have a dog fooding issue for code quality that's preventing us from doing it. Well, if we do the things in there, then we will meet our kind of the requirements that are set out to move this from minimal to viable. And just thinking about how do we move that category of maturity forward.
Got it. All right. Well, I'm thinking with Lorie later today, and we're likely gonna talk about. I mean, I was planning to talk mainly about like runner, but like we're talking about strategy for like next things moving forward. Yeah, it's also applicable to testing. So I'll update you about that later as well. Basically, what we're trying to do here is to figure out what's next in terms of problem validation and discovery, and I think we have a better path ahead in testing when it comes to like that horizon of things that we need to build and research and move to the categories. We don't have that for runner, so that's why I wanted to focus more on runner. But like anything that we do there, it's gonna be applicable for testing. So I'll let you know too.
Yeah, I think our next research item, and I have it to do today to create the research task or the research request, is around the test history. And like we discussed, I think it was last week, around really what is next. It's not the solution validation. It's going back and revisiting the problem and what are customers doing with the data itself so that we can inform where to build that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I didn't put anything on the agenda because I'm mainly focusing on like the design items that we have, but I don't think I have doubts right now. I was planning to start working on like that 13.3 thing that I told you, the 10 less 10 failures. It seems that design that I put last week on the group code coverage, like I think one person commented and like he seemed to be fine with what he was seeing. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that particular design? Do you want more iterations on that, or do you think that's an okay MVC?
I think I commented on the design because you left it as a comment in the issue. I think we can update that as a final design into the design tab on those issues, or reference back to design, like in all of the issues that have a design component. Let's just reference back to the design tab in one, so there's a single source of truth.
Yeah. I was kind of like waiting to do that just to make sure that we didn't need like more iterations, but I think if we're all on the same page, then I'm gonna put those in the design tab today, and
Perfect.
Yeah, we can prioritize that later.
Awesome. Cool. I think we can move that item then out of solution validation if we're not getting any more feedback. I've reached out to the customers that we had the initial conversations with, and I'm waiting on any feedback there beyond what we already got from the initial ping. I'm hoping to have conversations with those folks, but they haven't heard anything yet from TAMS. I'll bug them again today, or just reach out directly through shared Slack channels.
Well, it's very straightforward, right? Like there's not a lot of things that you can do to solve the problem. So I think this solves the problem. If it doesn't, it's getting us closer to what the final solution is gonna be. I think that the only kind of like drawback that I see from that is people saying like, I still don't want to see the average at all. And if that's the case, then like we can rethink what's the actual calculation that we have to do there.
Yeah. Not seeing the average. That's
Yeah.
a whole separate problem space that we'll
Yeah.
tackle in other ways.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're validated. I think there's nothing to validate that. Like the only thing that I wanted is like if someone was gonna say like, oh, that's not what I want, then I was gonna like kind of like pump the brakes and say like, okay, what's what you want? But no one expressed anything. So
I think for the customers that are looking for that indicator of which direction code quality is going, this is a good first step. I think that we'll continue to give them context, right?
He did mention something. He said that he was asking if like when you hover over and you see like the broken down values, if we're gonna show the change from one. And I said, I don't know if you saw my comment, but I said like no, but later.
Yeah. I don't remember if I created the follow-up issue for that. I'll create that issue though, because there's a couple of places where we can include that change.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
But also, whenever we're doing like the technical feasibility evaluation of these, we should see if it's too hard to do it, because like if it's easy, I mean, we already do it for the main value. So how hard would it be to do it for like the individual values?
Yeah, exactly. It should be fairly simple.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't have questions about the items that we have currently on design. I was probably gonna take some time by the end of the week to like put one design for this the last 10 failures one. But yeah, I might ping you later about like specific questions on this, but like for now I'm good.
Great.
Yeah. And that epic in general, I was looking at that epic and it seems that most things are 13.3, 13.4, 13.5. So I think we're good on, I think we're good, right?
I'd like to have design sooner than later for discussion with engineering, just because that's going to be a big, hairy problem to tear apart and how we store the data. So having an idea of the direction we want to go with what we want to present will be helpful in understanding what we can do, because that we might need to iterate on design based on what we can deliver in an MVC.
Oh, totally. No, the designs are coming for sure. I was just like wondering about I have been trying to like, so just for the sake of transparency, like I have been trying to like prioritize better between like runner things and testing things. And I know that I said before that I was trying to be more like communicate my bandwidth better. So I was just trying to say like I feel that like it seems fine to me. I can work on these designs and I have bandwidth to do these and start like putting those designs together.
Great.
So yeah.
Awesome.
We're good.
Lorie, was there anything? I'm sorry, Juan, I totally cut you off.
No.
Are we good on 13.3 design then?
We're good.
Lorie, was there anything on the MR interviews that we can help with from a testing perspective besides dropping in and maybe helping with the notes?
Yeah, that's it. I think my main goal to have those is to test the assumption that poor performance means slow load time for the diffs. I don't think that that's all it is. I know we are aware of a lot of other things, but my hypothesis is that there's something else going on that people refer to as poor performance. So that's really what my goal is in half an hour, to understand what their experience has been. I've tried to target people who have either been somewhat dissatisfied with their experience, either authoring or reviewing MRs, or neutral. And then I've got maybe one or two who were extremely satisfied, but did a lot of them. So I really want to understand why they're happy. If they're doing 21 to 500 of them a week, like why are you still happy with that? So that's what I'm hoping to get out of it. So I don't think there's anything that you guys have to provide to me or anything, but please do show up if you can, help take notes. If you have any color commentary, shoot it to me in Slack. That would be great. Any kind of context is always helpful.
So I guess I misinterpreted it. When I saw that note from you, I thought it was about the merge request widgets and the merge request page experience. It sounds like it's more about code review and looking at diffs for a merge request.
Not necessarily. So
Okay.
it's about the whole experience.
Okay.
So trying to understand holistically, what is it? So we think that the poor performance is related directly to diffs. I don't think that that's correct. I think there's something else there. I just don't know what it is. And it may just be an amalgam of all the other shit that we know about that's wrong that we're trying to fix.
Yeah.
But that's where I was going to start there, because Christy's direction was go and figure out why they say they have poor performance.
Sure. Okay.
And after talking to Daniel and James, the other James over in code review, or who was in code review, that's where I was like, I think they think it's just this, and that's where they've been working very hard to fix. But what if it's not? And Daniel mentioned something about taking it from like 20 seconds down to 5 seconds, and then people are still complaining. It's like, okay, so I feel like there's something else there. It can't just be, it's not instantaneous. It's got to be something. So that's my goal, just to talk about them, talk about their experiences in general, and then kind of dive into some more specifics. But if you guys have questions that you want me to ask around anything that would help you, tell me. I mean, I've got half an hour with these people, so
sure.
Happy to ask.
Is the discussion guide linked in that Slack message? Okay, I'll go check that out today.
It's also on the UX, it's on the UX research calendar. It's a shared calendar. Cool. You should be able to add to your Google list of calendars if you're anything like me. And then each of those invites on that calendar have the discussion guide and the Dovetail project linked, as well as the issue that we're discussing, because that's our calendar. So the participants don't have links to those. And let me know if you don't have access to that calendar. Tal tried to add it and she was having some issues. I gotta go and help her with that. Not sure what happened.
I will check that out here in just a minute. Great, thank you.
Cool. All right.
Well, seems that we're caught up. Like with 9 minutes spare.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Cool, thanks team, appreciate it. Everybody have a good one.
All right, Juan, I hope you feel better.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I really want to get tested for
real.
Yeah, see if you can. All right.
All right,
Okay,
cheers.